Boy, oh boy, it's the Power Hour, folks. Good morning to each and every one of you.
Yep.
6:04 in the AM, coming to you live from Philadelphia and vicinity. We're
Mm-hmm.
here every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., talking about our opinion typically on the news of the day. It's not a news show, it's a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
So don't come here expecting a news show, but it's a talk show around newsy type events. And you can check us out at 900 AM in Philly, 96.1 FM. That's the old school way. You can also look at wordradio.com. That's WURD, wordradio.com. You can
Mm-hmm.
go to the App Store and download the app, Google, or are we in BlackBerry? No, not in BlackBerry. Apple, the Apple Store, or you can have a lot of fun with us on social media. Check us out on YouTube. We'll be there, YouTube Live or Facebook Live, wherever you want to find us. Come check us out, and we're glad to be here. And the aforementioned Dwayne David Royster
And
is sitting
sitting
across from me on my screen.
all right, and sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
And the glue that holds it all together is Kuwesa. What's up, Kuwesa?
Good morning.
What's up, Kawesa? How are you today?
Doing okay. How are you both doing?
I'm alive. I'm moving. That's a good thing. It's early in the morning.
Yep.
How was your ride in today?
Not too bad. Got stuck behind a couple of trucks. A lot of trucks lately that I've been noticing. And it's a little wet outside. I didn't know that it rained last night, but when I came out, there was a lot of, leftover remnants of rain. So just kind of be careful with, puddles and things like that. But yeah, I mean, besides that, it was smooth sailing. And it's not too cold. It's chillier than yesterday, though. I will admit, it's a little chillier.
Yeah, it's only in the 40s right now, which is
Mm-hmm.
a thing. During my commute this morning, I had to turn the heater on, so I know that it was a little cold. So
Did you commute it downstairs,
that's right.
upstairs, wherever?
I had to turn the heater on when I got into the basement, so I can have some heat.
Lord.
I'm sorry, Koisa. I know you actually have to travel to get into the office, but yes, but I had to turn the heater on. It was a little nippy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, lot going on right now, obviously. And if you're on Facebook Live or on YouTube, hit the share button. Send this out to other folk. Glad to see so many of you all out there. Glad to see our backup host, Tawanda, is in this morning. What's up, Rob and Kanisha? Dorla Dean. Raphael is in the house, of course. Angela. Glad to see Aunt Young, who's questioning your use of a heater this morning. Glad to see Karen, Ed, Greg Brinkley. What's up? The app doesn't work. The Word app is not working. Rob, I don't believe that. I'm going to have to try it right now myself. I have no reason to doubt you, but I mean, my app typically works. Glad to see Kathleen and others who are logging on. Again, hit the share button. Tell us good morning. We'll shout you right back. Glad to see Connie on as well. So, obviously in Minnesota, things are escalating. The National Guard was called in right away. People were like, well, how did they get there so fast? I'm like, dude, the
The trial's on.
the trial of
Right.
Derek Chauvin is on. I
Yeah.
mean, they were like already there. They just
Yep.
got deployed sooner than they thought they were going to be deployed. There is a curfew on throughout the area, especially in the bigger cities. I mean, so remember, the town in question, Brooklyn Center, is only about 30 to 31,000 people. It's a small town.
Like size of
But
Norristown. Yeah.
is that Norristown's about 31,000?
Yeah,
Okay.
Norristown's a little bit over that, but yeah, it's around that same size. Their whole setup is similar to Norristown.
Okay, right. So big enough where, I mean, it's a small town, but big enough where you won't know everybody,
Hmm.
right? So a cop wouldn't know you necessarily. But of course, it is impacting the entire area. And so last night, the all of the major sporting franchises yesterday and last night canceled their games out of deference to what happened in the killing of Dante Wright. I think yesterday I called him Dante Hicks by mistake, Dante Wright. And the city has turned over the operations of the police department directly to the mayor, who is a former immigrant to this country from Liberia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Interesting to see what the ADOS people would say about that. He ain't Black American.
Actually, if he's Liberian, there's a possibility he is a descendant of slaves from America, right? So that's very, very possible. So they have to be careful with that one.
Yeah. So so a lot happening there. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Calinthia. Glad to see you all in as well. And they released the body cam footage.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, the officer who did the shooting, has been relieved of her duties. She is a 26-year veteran and the head of their police union.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I say when I saw that.
I'm like, oh boy.
This gets worse.
Oh yeah.
So she's been relieved of her duties. It sounds like the mayor is intending to fire her. There's been a national outcry about this. And the officer, I guess, who is involved of the investigation, I'm not sure if he's like the head of the police there, but I did see his statement, which is that he came out quickly to say a couple of things. One was he wanted to release the video to give people an opportunity to see everything that they saw as quick as possible for transparency. But then also that he felt that the officer involved accidentally discharged her weapon thinking that she had her taser. I think in these kind of moments, it's probably best for officers not to get into the person who's doing the reporting, not to get into the motive, because it makes you instantly think of what happened in Georgia, where the sheriff, in trying to interpret the motivations of the person who killed all those people in the Asian massage parlors, got into the reasoning. He's just having a bad day. It immediately evoked that versus just tell us what happened, what we saw, and let a court decide. So he's setting it up, trying to frame it. Man, I don't know, man. Have you seen the video? I can't hear you.
I said I have not seen it all the way through. I saw parts of it before. When we talked last night, I hadn't looked at the whole video. Actually, I got the video on right now, so I'm watching. I see what happened there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's not good. So now I've seen the video.
Well, so the audio, I think that it's important that everybody actually watches it. And you can watch it up to the discharge of the weapon and stop there. I think that there's some places, you don't hear it because they've muted the sound of the gun, which helps. But, this all happens in 10 seconds or less.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah, from the time they get him out of the car until the time that the gun's discharged is really fast.
Yeah. And so first of all, let me say that as an officer, I've never been an officer. I've never been in a position where something like that happened so fast where you had to make a decision. So I don't know. Every officer I've heard says that, that you are trained to know which hand to use, that the taser is always on the opposite end, on the opposite side of where your gun is, and never together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so, look, I'm from Oakland, so, I'm very familiar with the Oscar Grant story. Oscar Grant was shot and killed. The cop there said he thought he pulled a taser. That's something totally different. Oscar Grant was under control. They were all under control. They were sitting on the ground for a while. He just walks, matter of factly pulls his gun out, shoots him in the back, puts it back, before he even realizes what he did. There was questions as to why he would even want to tase him in that moment, you know.
Right.
But this is not that moment. This is all happening. This is from a person who is taken out of the car. He's being handcuffed, and it's explained to him. It's very clear that Dante, you have a warrant for your arrest. We're going to take you down, and you hear the cop who's arresting him. It goes from him complying to, though you can't see anything happening, something is clearly happening, because the cop is starting to say, "Wait, hey, don't do that, don't do that," which kind of suggests that, even by your hands you can, you're resisting the handcuff. He then takes off, runs, and gets into the car. So I'm saying this for the benefit of people who have not watched it, who are not going to watch it. Just, and I understand why you wouldn't want to.
Trigger warning. Yeah, trigger warning on this. Yeah.
And so from the moment that he takes off, he runs, wriggles away, and slides into the car. There's a cop on the passenger side reaching in, trying to get him. Cop on the driver's side trying to get him. Then there's the officer who shot him, who immediately, they say she said taser 3 times. She actually said it 5 times in those 10 seconds or so. So I mean, within maybe 5 seconds, she said it 5 times. I'm going to tase you. I'm going to tase you. Then it's taser, taser, taser. The entire time her gun is actually out, though. But again, the other cops are looking at him. I think somebody said one of the cops told her to get back because she was getting in the way. And then she shoots him, and that's when it's like something magically happens and she realizes what's happened. She says instantly, "Oh, holy blank, I shot him." He drives off, and they're all standing there just looking stunned, like, what just happened? 10 seconds, maybe 11 if we're generous. Boy. Yeah, it's rough to see. And raises a lot of questions. Yesterday somebody said in our chat, before we even saw the video, can't remember how they phrased it, something to the effect of something, comply, something, work it out downtown,
Mm-hmm.
And, but he's 20 years old, and I'm trying to put my mind back into when I was that age.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way in which I overreacted to, you got a warrant. It's like, dude, it's a warrant. Your mom's going to come bail you out. You're going to get a lawyer, and they're going to work this out. Like, why you think that you have to run from, a bench warrant and put yourself in harm's way? People say I don't understand, but but again, thinking like a 20-year-old, I guess I do understand.
Brand new car. He's scared. They're arresting him. They said they got a warrant for his arrest. And, he reacts the way that he reacts. I mean, it doesn't warrant a bullet.
Oh, God, no. No, it doesn't. But like I said, again, it's also, so Charlene says he was afraid. He ran for his life. Her repeating taser to me was like when they hold you down, face to the concrete, and say, stop resisting when clearly you're not. Well, actually, in this moment, he was resisting. He was actively resisting in those 10 seconds. He was not complying. And that's what I'm saying. I think that people owe it to themselves to watch it. A lot of folk are not. We're dug in on our positions. And you know me. I mean, I spend my entire life trying to hold police accountable. But I think you have to watch it. Robert Garland said it yesterday. That's what he said. He reposted it. Comply, go home, complain. Asa says, I think she must be fired immediately, or they must be fired immediately. Yeah, they're going to fire her. There's no, first of all, again,
that's a huge mistake.
You can't make that. Look, if you're a cop, it's like an airline pilot. You only get to crash a plane once. If you survive it, we're not going to give you another airplane. So this not, some professions, you could preach a bad sermon and get another Sunday. NFL players can throw an interception and get to come back. It takes a while to get cut. If you're a police officer and you have a moment like that where you cannot tell the difference between your gun and a taser, even though it is a high stress moment, the entire job is stressful, then that means that you don't have what it takes to be a cop, even after 26 years. And it's time to, to hang up the holster and move on. There is no coming back for this, because he can't come back.
Right. I mean, I think that's what, when you were talking about the city manager getting fired, Kirk Bougany, what a name. Being part of what he said was, well, the officer is going to get her due process. And to which somebody in the audience responded, Dante didn't get due process. Why didn't she get the same due process he got? So, again, you mentioned earlier that, he put his foot in his mouth, the whole thing. I want to explain a little bit, though, because I think for most Philadelphians, they don't understand some of the structure that happens. Because in the particular case of a town like Brooklyn Center, which is much smaller, the city manager actually has more power than the elected officials do. In many ways. And so the fact that they fired the city manager was actually a really big move, and then put the mayor over the city, over the police department, because they don't have a strong mayor process. The mayor is really more a figurehead than anything else. And the council really has a lot of the power. So in this particular circumstance, and all these people would be part-time, right? When I say part-time, like they go to meetings and things like that, but this is not a full-time job for them. So a crisis like this, requires something very different of them. And for the mayor to step in and now be leading the police department, it's a whole different setup. So the city manager, we have a managing director in Philadelphia, but doesn't have as much power as the mayor. In these type situations, the city manager is actually the one really in charge, who actually handles the day-to-day operations of the city, hires, fires. The only people the only ones that can actually hire, fire anybody in the municipality is the city manager, with the exception of the city manager, who is controlled by council. So it's a whole different dynamic. It's more like a CEO of a corporation, and the only person that can really get rid of them is the board.
That's a good distinction. Tell you what, look, it's 6:21. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's finish this. And also want to talk about Georgia as well. And also the fear of black folk in general, the thing that a lot of our young people really just still don't understand, how people view you. You know what I mean? Because, I think the larger point is, a white kid could have done the exact same thing and likely would not have even been tased. The taser wouldn't even been drawn. It would have been it'd have been wrestling, trying to get you out of the car. So even the question about why you had to go to a weapon, even a less than lethal weapon, if that's what you thought you were drawing, is a whole part of this as well. We'll be back in a moment. This is the Power Hour. Hit the share button on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and bring others into this conversation. We'll be right back.
At Bank of America, we believe in the power of collaboration to create jobs and fuel economic opportunity. That's why we're working with local organizations to help people get the skills they need and build a growing pipeline of talent.
I'm Jim Dever, Bank of America Greater Philadelphia Market President. Our partnership with Philadelphia Youth Network is just one way we're taking action to help more members of our community. What would you like the power to do?
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Hey folks, WURD members are invited to tune in every second Tuesday of the month with me, Nick, for a chance to win a book bundle of the newest releases from Kensington Publishing's culturally oriented Dafina imprint.
COVID vaccines are here, and Black physicians and scientists helped to develop them. So I feel good about getting the vaccine. And with new forms of the virus now spreading, I know we need to keep up everything we're already doing. Masking up, keeping that 6-foot distance, and avoiding crowds. COVID's been doubly tough on us, so let's double down to take it down. We can do this. Learn more about getting the vaccine and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Word family, the Go to Know campaign for colon cancer is up and running. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Click Go to Know and get your test today.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM. and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of those. So this morning we've been, kind of talking about what's happening in Brooklyn Center in Minnesota. It's also having deep impact on the trial of Derek Chauvin that's happening in Minneapolis, just 30 miles away. What'd you say?
He's done.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So the defense attorney went to the judge yesterday and said, we need to sequester the jury. Sequestering the jury means that we're going to take them, put them in hotels. We got to, keep them away from the news and everything else so that they're not impacted or infected, as the term I think they would use would be infected by what's going on in the news around them. And the judge said, nope, not happening. We're not doing that. He's like, world events happen and, life goes on, and we are not sequestering the jury. So, this actually gives the defense a potential reason to appeal the decision if they don't like the decision that they get, because they could say that the judge refused to sequester the jury, at the height of the situation that happened in Minnesota, just 30 miles away. And it's got to be all over the news there. You can't not be a part of the newspaper, the radio out there, the television. There are already protests that are happening out there. And I think that there's a fear that the jury will be more inclined to go harder on Derek Chauvin because they don't want those same things to happen in Minneapolis, so or around the country, because I really believe whatever happens with Derek Chauvin is not just going to impact Minneapolis, it's actually going to impact the whole country. So there's a lot to see about there. But I was impressed with the judge. I was like, the judge was like, nope, not happening.
Yeah, I was too. But now you got me concerned, because I think you're right that the idea that this could be used as an appeal.
Yep.
As the basis of an appeal. Look, you got the National Guard out there, people burning stuff. There's a lot of there was already anger in the streets, and the jury is, this is their community. This is not like this is happening in Philly somewhere like distant, but this is their neighbors are talking about it. Yeah, I get you, man. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But again, I want to just say for the record, Chauvin is now toast. If he wasn't toast yet, it's well done toast now.
Yeah.
The prosecution has rested its case. The defense is going to come out now, and I honestly don't know what they say in defense of what he did, because it's indefensible. And again, I want to say again, in contrast to this, what we saw yesterday, 10, 11 seconds, you had 9 minutes and 29 seconds to think about what you were doing.
Yeah.
There's an element of, in fact, like I said, again, that's like premeditation. Honestly, I think he's getting off light by them trying him for second-degree murder, where it really should be like, at a certain point,
absolutely,
it turned into premeditation.
That's right.
Yeah. It may not have started that way, but it certainly turned that way somewhere, I don't know, maybe the 4th or 5th minute.
Something like that. Easily when the ENT and others are yelling at him, check his pulse, telling them, this. You have a city EMT who deals with this stuff every day, who is standing there telling you, I work for the city, I work for the fire department, I'm an EMT, and you need to check his pulse. It was at that point that became premeditated.
Well, maybe Cher just needs to move to Minnesota.
Oh, why does Cher need to move to Minnesota?
You didn't see the story last week, or I thought we didn't talk about that.
No,
Cher told her mom, looking at the George Floyd case, the Derek Chauvin trial, she told her mom, Cher, you all know Cher of Sonny Bono and Cher, Cher, only needs one word to describe her. Cher told her mom, and she posted on Twitter, she was like, I know this sounds crazy, but if I was there, I think I could have saved him.
Huh?
So Cher believes that
she's going to sing to the officers. Is that what she's going to do?
Her celebrity would have been able to convince Derek Chauvin to get off of George Floyd. So,
wow.
So I mean, so you know, so if Cher, so if Cher was, you know, I don't know, man. I keep thinking like, it had me thinking since we were coming out of Easter, like maybe if Cher was at Mary and Martha's house when Lazarus died. If Cher was here, our brother wouldn't have died. I don't know. I mean, Cher literally said that. I mean,
wow, that's really deep, and confusing, and frightening at the same time.
well, it also right, because it speaks to the fact that Cher, you like many people don't understand what this is all about, right? Yeah, right. Aunt Young said she would have said, "I got you, babe." Stop it, y'all. Stop it. Cher. Chauvin, I got you, babe. He would have been like, is that Cher? Is that Cher? I mean, dude, if Cher had been
Has anybody even seen her in like the last 10 years? Do we even know what she looks like anymore?
Apparently she thinks Derek Chauvin does.
I don't.
So, I mean, listen, you know, it's crazy as it is, but it doesn't. See, here's the problem with what Cher said and the whole attitude altogether. There is an inherent fear of black people, period. That it started from the lie that helped embolden white slavery in this country in 1619. Public Enemy had an album called Fear of a Black Planet, based off of an older expression, Fear of a Black Planet. And that if you don't understand that, then a lot of this doesn't make sense, right? It's, what was she so afraid of? There were literally 3 cops on one kid who's in a car. You got his name. You know where he lives. It's Brooklyn centered. Does he look like he got enough money to flee to Mexico on some like bench warrant? You can catch him at any time. You know what I mean? Yep. But again, in the heat of that moment, this skinny 20-year-old kid does not look like a skinny 20-year-old kid to this white police officer. He looks much more menacing than that. In the same way that Darren Wilson, when he shot and killed Mike Brown, his statement about Mike Brown was that he looked like the Incredible Hulk to me. Those were his words.
Yeah, and Wilson was bigger than Brown was.
This is my point. And so that there is an underlying, you know, there's an underlying part of this that we continue to forget. Listen, I'm telling you that, you know, so you're trying to get in the car, you're thinking like you're scared of them. Dude, 3 of them and they got guns, they're scared. You know when this really hit me? Now I've always kind of known this, but when you and I were in Ferguson and it was burning, we were out in Ferguson and I was out with Al Herring that night. Al and I were out walking. And this was the last night they used tear gas. They were shooting tear gas at us. And I'm thinking now, and it just kind of like this epiphany, right? There were so many freaking police officers.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the staging area?
And the tanks. You forgot
about right. So inside the zone where you could protest, there were hundreds of cops, guns drawn on people peacefully protesting. And there was an entire like battalion of cops 2 blocks away as a backup in case those cops couldn't handle the old people and young people who were marching around. That's right. And while on the one hand, it looks like a show of force and strength, I want to suggest that it was a show of weakness because it demonstrates, again, this absolute paranoia and fear of black people. And I mean, it's clear. Like I said, again, the fact that she even had to pull a taser, if that's what she thought she was pulling in that moment to stop this. I mean, the kid is like super skinny and small.
Oh, yeah, he's tiny.
He's got his girlfriend in the car, and there are 3 of you. You didn't need any weapon. Snatch him out the car, put him against the car, handcuff him, and end of the day, go on about your business and get another donut or whatever. But I mean, but the fear that's amped up that they don't have, that's why you say, well, why didn't this happen if he was white? Because the fear of white people is not there in the same way.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think you're 100% right about that. It's like, you know, again, you know, those in power circles have always heard me talk about this. Harvard University did this study on, implicit bias. And implicit bias is unconscious bias. So it's bias that's in your subconscious. You're not thinking about it, right? But Dr. John Powell from the Haas Institute out of UC Berkeley has really talked about this notion of hierarchy of human value, and that when you go and compare human beings to other human beings, or human beings to animals or inanimate objects, African American men come across in our subconscious, even just walking down the street, as angry, big, vicious, barking dogs. That's how people see us.
Right.
So we're not human. We're a vicious animal, and the only way to contain that vicious animal is that you got to put that animal down. And so when they see us, especially in heated moments like this, when your subconscious is kicking in at a deeper level, that the only way that they can figure out how to do is they got to cage us. They got to be able to find a way to subdue us, So you shoot us, you kill us, you do what you got to do to get us out of the way. Now, white people, on the other hand, both white men and women, are seen as fully human. And so their lives are valued differently. You value the life of a human being differently than you value the life of a dog. And so when you're seen as a dog, both black men and black women are at the lowest levels of the hierarchy of human value. And, this is how this is how folks see us. And so this is how they treat us, whether they think they're doing the right thing. They think they're being fair. They think we do this to all, everybody the same way all the time. Actually, it's not true. It's not true at all. If you ever watch the TV show Cops, you will see very clearly when they actually do occasionally show white folk getting arrested, that they're treated very differently even when they act out. Even when they act out. They're treated very differently.
Of course. I mean, listen, there are videos upon videos of knife-wielding, gun-wielding white people who survived the stop, where the police officers go through great pains to try to get them to stand down. And again, and then there's, Dante Wright. And so, again, this is not, you don't have to have like some advanced degree to understand this, or we don't even need a researcher to come in and prove it. There's just, the anecdotal evidence is overwhelming, and it happens so often that we know this. Now, again, I think so there's, it's interesting that in the moment, the city officials in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, had the presence of mind, as you said earlier, to fire the city manager, and then to give immediate power to the mayor to you work this out. This is,
the black guy.
The black guy.
Right. Black guy. Because the city manager was white, but the mayor's black. You're going to be the face of this thing now. We're going to put the black guy out there.
So this don't work out. Your guy had it. Right.
That's right.
Yeah, but again, I keep going back to this, that it is that so given kind of the lay of the land, and others add other things, and I saw a comment that yes, also hatred of black folk. Yeah, of course, there is that too, absolutely. And so, but this underlying fear, you're not going to get rid of that in a generation or two. The way in which America is now is very deeply rooted. It's taken 400 years to get here, and it's going to take a long time to move, to get out of where we are, if we ever do, quite frankly. Yeah. And so, because culture does not change fast. So in the absence of that, what can you do? Then you can change the way structures. So I don't expect that you're going to find people who are devoid of their racist attitudes toward black people who are going to be in policing, because there's no racism test you can give unless you give a polygraph, and maybe that's the part of the answer too.
There are implicit bias tests though.
Well, but people can game that.
You got to work hard to game those tests.
Huh?
Yeah, you got to work hard to game those tests though.
Well, I don't know. If there's a test with an answer somewhere, then there's somebody who's got the answer key, but I think that is also a part of it, the implicit bias, the anti-racist bias, and all of those kind of things. But I still think that at the end of the day, it is about putting the control of the police department in the hands of someone other than the people who have it right now. And I'm not suggesting that, that it goes to the mayors, because I think that also has problems as well.
Absolutely.
So as we look at Philadelphia with the development of what we're calling CPOC, this new police oversight commission that's gonna take place in the next few months. They're working out the details of what that ought to be. Many of us are like pushing council to make it as strong as possible and as independent as possible. But it has to be, people in the community that the community trusts. And you'll know that you can trust them if the FOP starts running billboards against them.
Well, you ain't said nothing but a word right there. If you want to know who to trust, just watch who the FOP doesn't trust. There you go.
Yeah. If the FOP is happy with CPOC when it comes out, then we know we failed.
Mm-hmm.
But if John McNesby is screaming bloody murder, jumping up and down, then we know we've succeeded and we actually have something.
There you go.
That's kind of the way I'm judging the outcome.
That's it.
If the FOP is not taking this thing to court, trying to dismantle it on day one, then trust me, it ain't worth having.
Yep.
Okay, it's 6:40 in the morning. This is too much for like a 6 o'clock in the morning show. We'll be talking about like fluff.
Nah, man,
So,
we're hitting hard, bro. Hitting hard. That's why it's called the Power Hour.
well, listen, people are going to be talking about this all day, as they should. But when we come back from break, we have to talk about Georgia and the 100 CEOs being led by 2 black CEOs, putting pressure on places like Texas, who is trying to follow in Georgia's footsteps, and warning them, don't you do that, these restrictive voter laws, and what Will Smith and a film he's working on did. You got to hear this, because I'm telling you, this is really, really powerful, because we have to fight on multiple fronts at the same time. We don't have the luxury of concentrating on just one. This is the Power Hour. Again, it's 6:41 a.m. We'll be right back on the other side.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media. Join WURD Radio for our 6th annual Jackie Robinson Day live broadcast. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Hosted by Charles Ellison and Andrea Lawful Sanders. In celebration of Jackie Robinson, who revolutionized Major League Baseball by breaking racial barriers, this year we're taking a look at how Robinson and other black athletes have played a pivotal role in advocating for social justice. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio's special Jackie Robinson Day celebration is brought to you by Pico, Brown's Family ShopRite, and the Family Business Partners, Her's Snack Food, Amoroso's, and Deaton Watson. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Seeing some volume picking up out there. 295 northbound getting busy. 47 to 42 right lane blocked. Ongoing construction is the reason that right lane. 55 north Deptford into 42 busy. Southbound 95 Cobbin to Bridger jammed again. Delays Betsy Ross through Girard northbound. No problems yet. Westbound Vine Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway a bit slow. Schuylkill westbound watch for volume building in the area of 202. Left lane block there with ongoing sinkhole repair. Southbound Boulevard Route 1. You're getting a slow broad down to Fox through that construction area. Staples helps you get back to business with custom printed signs and sales materials. Now get 15% off signs, posters, or decals when you spend $75 or more. Offer ends 5/21, not 29/21. Exclusions apply. Limit 1 per customer. See store or staples.com/signage for details. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. Hey, WURD Radio. WURD Radio in partnership with Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp have teamed up to launch Go to Know. Go to Know is a new public health campaign to reduce colorectal cancer in the black community. Request your easy, free, at-home colorectal cancer screening test called a FIT kit. The FIT kit is designed to provide early detection of colorectal cancer. The FIT test doesn't require any fasting or colon cleanses, and it can be done in a matter of minutes. Most importantly, you'll learn how to make sure you and your family members can stay well and live a long, healthy life. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner or call 1-877-422-2030 to learn how you can get your free at-home FIT kit testing kit. Please, folk, go check this out. Get this test. It's actually painless, doesn't take but a few minutes, and you can find out your health and help to protect the health of you and your family and make sure that they are all well. So thank you for that.
So speaking of health, today in Pennsylvania, I'm looking at the comment threads. Yes, we see that. Thank you all. COVID tests are now available in
COVID shots.
Not available. Everyone is now eligible if you're an adult in Pennsylvania as of today.
Except for Philadelphia.
I don't know about that. It said, starting today, it said 18.
I think it was 16 and over everywhere but Philly. Philly's got on a different timeline.
So when does Philly become adult eligible?
I don't know, but I think it's today in Pennsylvania. Yeah, whatever. I know in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly, everything has always moved differently than Philadelphia because they're still behind in trying to get seniors vaccinated in Philadelphia. But everybody 16 and over, it's actually 16 and over, can get can schedule themselves to get the vaccine at this point.
Yeah, and so, and again, it's important to know, look, cases are continuing to go up, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, it's America. Man, Americans, I mean, we're not serious about bringing it to an end. So, I mean, honest to God, it's just like, all I can say is protect yourself because your neighbors are not going to try to do it for you. Dr. Fauci was on, I saw a report with him. They asked him, was he ready to start doing things like going back to movies and indoor dining? He said, nah. He said, no. I got a pod, man. He said, the my pod. He said, no. He said, if you ain't in my pod, you know, you can't come up in here. And if Fauci is like, no, I mean, it's just, we're not there yet. He said, we're close. We're very close. He said, but we ain't there yet. And again, a part of it is just the behavior of the country. I mean, so, you know, spring breakers going to do what they do. And I mean, it's at a certain point, it's just really sad, but we saw this coming a year ago. I mean, at the height of it, if people didn't care, what do you think now after a year of, I mean, see, Americans believe this kind of stuff shouldn't happen to them.
So, yes, Americans don't believe, and it's not, you know, because somebody put in here, it's like it's the spring breakers. It's actually not the spring breakers. It's the idiot governors in Florida and Texas that are allowing everything to get opened up. In a couple other states that have allowed their states to be widely open that are also causing this problem right now. That is the Texas, Florida, I forgot the third state. I mean, they're problematic in terms of, you know, just like no face mask, no social distancing. I mean, the Texas governor came out and said the other day, we have almost reached herd immunity in Texas. And I'm like, and Fauci was like, no, you haven't. Not even close.
He's talking about he's talking about like cows or something.
Yes. I want to go back and correct myself and say that, right, okay, I'm right. So all Pennsylvania 16 and over are eligible to sign up for coronavirus vaccine appointments beginning Tuesday. But it says the new timeline does not affect Philadelphia, which has its own vaccine distribution plan. City officials said, this is from the Inquirer, city officials said they would stick with their plan to open eligibility to all adults on April 19th. So as of April 19th, anybody in Philadelphia 16 and over can then make their appointments.
Gotcha. All right. So then, again, we're getting close then to everybody in the state of Pennsylvania. But again, the shots are available largely. Sign up. Go to the FEMA website if you don't know where to go. There's plenty of places out there online that will help direct you to the right information. In Georgia, the production team for a new film for Will Smith called Emancipation, which is about an escaped enslaved person that Will Smith will play fleeing Louisiana, trying to get north. Was supposed to begin filming in Georgia in June, I believe. And Will and Antoine Fuqua, they're like, nah, we all right. We good. They said, we want to go to a place where slavery was historical, not present day. So we want a place that kind of brings the climate back, but not this much. So Georgia, that was a $120 million film project. Wow. That's a lot of paper. Now it's sad because a lot of people who would be working on the project are black folk in Georgia. This is the other side of boycotts. I mean, look, you got to hit folk in the pocket, but everybody bleeds during a boycott. And so, but again, so this film is pulling out. Major League Baseball already pulled out the All-Star game. Others are beginning to do the same things. And then there is, what is Ken's last name? Was it Blanchard? Black guy used to be the head of American Express.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's him. Yep.
Yeah. So a couple of major black CEOs or former CEOs are leading a group of 100 of the largest companies in America. They had a big Zoom meeting where they said they're not going to sit back and tolerate, states like Georgia and Texas imposing these restrictive voting rights on black folk and be silent about it. Now, of course, Mitch McConnell is all bothered by that. Like, these businesses ought to keep out of politics. No, they should not. Because let's be real. A part of what brought apartheid down was the divestment campaign.
That's right.
And when people began to put pressure on businesses to withdraw their money from South Africa, and holding apartheid became more expensive than not holding it, it finally broke that system. They didn't just give up apartheid out of the goodness of their hearts, please. Right. And likewise, Georgians are not going to give up these rules out of the goodness of their hearts, because like the Grinch, it's much too small. So instead of waiting for it to grow 3 times its size, we need to put pressure on these businesses who do business with Georgia, because this is the only way to get them to stop.
Ken Blanchard was the author of those books, those books for business. It's Ken Chenault, who was a former CEO. Yeah, Ken Chenault, former CEO of American Express.
I didn't think I had the right name. That's what I kept saying. But thank you.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I actually reached out to a friend of mine who is very well known on Wall Street, and I was like, where are you at on all this? He's like, I'm standing with the rest of the business leaders, and having this conversation about the fact that they have to use their power to prevent the James Crow Esquire from taking root in the rest of the country at this moment. So it's very powerful. These business leaders are coming together to do what they do, that they're not just focusing on Georgia and Texas, but they're focusing on like a bunch of states where these laws have been introduced. And I look forward to seeing some business activism in a very positive sense for once, as opposed to them trying to get tax breaks and to make sure that they can, their CEOs can keep all their money, that they're actually trying to use their power to make a difference for everyday people. I think that's a really powerful tool.
Right. So one last thing, we didn't talk about the prince's passing. The Duke.
I was trying not to talk about it.
The Queen, the consort to the Queen.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting to me in the passing of Prince Philip? So, like, when somebody black who's had controversy in the past does something or shows up or anything happens, you always get all of the real tape is played of all the bad stuff. So right. Michael Vick, remember, he's the one who killed all the dogs with the dog fighting, failed, went to jail, got to come back. But we're glad to see Mike Vick. Do you know how I mean, this dude should have been canceled a long time ago. I mean, rest in peace, Prince. But dude, how did we like not know all these like super racist statements he's been saying all of his life?
Did you see the show The Crown, the
No.
series? Okay,
No.
so you should have seen The Crown. It would have really helped you understand that Prince Philip was not that in tune with the rest of the world. I'll just leave it like that.
He asked some Aboriginals, "Are you still throwing spears at each other?"
Yes.
Hey, good
Yes.
boy, good men. Are you still spear chucking? I'm like, dude, no wonder Meghan Markle said, I got to get up out of here.
Dude. So, first of all, I'm so ticked off by all the coverage of this. I'm like, we fought a war to not be a part of the British Empire. Okay, we fought a war. People died. Why are we worried about what the royals are doing over in Great Britain? Can we figure out what's going on here in America and focus on that?
A guy came back from Papua New Guinea, and the prince saw him. He says, oh, you managed not to get eaten then. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, 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 ha. Jolly good fun. Talked about people getting slitty-eyed for being in Asia too long. Oh my God! This is the guy that we're talking about as the great humanitarian.
That's why I don't want to talk about it, because he wasn't that great.
Ha, ha, ha. I'm done.
What did Lizzo say? Men are great until they got to be great. You know, it's like.
I mean, right now in the world, in the wake of everybody owning their anti-Asian, rhetoric and the things that led up to what happened in Georgia, how does this go under the radar and we just act like this didn't happen? This dude.
Because he was Prince Philip and he could get away with it. And they managed the media.
Well, have a jolly good day, Royster. Jolly.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Tyler, for everything you do. Thank you, Koisa, for holding down the boards. Thank you to everybody that listened to us on the air, through the app, through whatever means that you're checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, everybody that engaged in this conversation today. We deeply appreciate you and everything that you do and helping to make Philadelphia and the whole tri-state region a better place. Listen, stay tuned for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And listen, do us a favor. Go out. Change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.